Behind the gates of his home, Jean's life seems stable, but his bond with the maid slowly reveals the truth about his family and privilege. The story centers on Jean, a 17-year-old high school senior living with his parents in an affluent, gated neighborhood in suburban. His household includes his parents, Hugo and Sonia, and his younger sister, Natalie, and the several domestic workers, Rita, the live-in maid, Nomia, the cook, and Severio, the driver. Jean attends a well-regarded private boys' school. His parents expect him to gain admission to a good university, but they provide limited direct involvement in his academic or professional life. Their primary focus is maintaining the appearance of a stable, upper class lifestyle. Due to the lack of parental engagement, Jean interacts more closely with the household staff, who become the main adults he communicates with on a daily basis. Jean's strongest communication is with the driver, who drives him to the school. During one of their outings, the driver, who exposes Jean to a new adult experience and situations outside his usual routine. And it becomes the one of the events that shapes Jean's early transmission into adulthood. And inside the house, Jean begins visiting Rita, the maid, at night. They talk openly about relationship and much more, and engage in some limited activities. Rita, however, maintains boundaries and does not allow the relationship to progress further. This nightly interaction contributes to Jean's growing understandings of much more topics, but also highlights the uneven power dynamics within the households. At this time, Brazil introduced a quota system for university admission, designed to improve educational access for the non-white student who have historically faced disadvantage. As a white student from a privileged background who has not prioritized his studies, Jean becomes the concerned about how new system may affect his chances of getting into a competitive program. A change in Jean's routine occurs when the driver is said to be on vacation, forcing Jean to compute by a public bus. During this bus ride, he meets Lucia, a mixed race student who is academically capable but comes from a more modest socio-economic background. Lucia explains how the quota system may offer her improvement opportunity. Jean and Lucia begin spending time together, and Jean is exposed to perspectives different from those within his sheltered environment. While Jean's personal life develops, significant problems arises within the family. Being honest to him, Hugo the father's fund collapses, resulting in the loss of his job, and financial stability of family is disturbed. Instead of addressing the situation transparently, father and mother attempt to maintain their forwarded image of wealth. They cut the expenses, including terminating the driver's employment, but present to his life, Jean has a temporary vacation. As a financial pressure increases, the chances occurs in household staff adjustment, raising tension between parents, and the sign of economic strain. As Hogo's debt surfaces, the collapse begins. Cars are sold, rooms are emptied. Outside begins notices their financial fall. Jean watches his father's parade clumps. The boy once lived in fortress now feels the walls cracking. The mansion, once a symbol of security, becomes a reminder of everything false. The tension between Jean and his father escalates, and the father is always angry, controlling, unwilling to admit failure. Jean pushes back to the first time, inspired partly by Lucia and partly by his own moral awakening. Jean realizes that being rich wasn't an identity, it was a shield that hid every truth from him. And now the shield is gone. As the situation worsened, the driver and the maid can no longer stay in house. Their departure hit Jean harder than he expected. He wants to say something, to confess the connection he barely named. But the maid Rita only smiles gently. She knows paths like this never rarely run by side. Jean watches as they leave, understanding for the first time in his life what it means to lose something real. And the film ends with Jean stepping into uncertain future without luxury but with awareness as his innocence fades but a new grounded self begins to form. The film Casa Grande isn't about a rich boy falling for the maid. It's about how one true honest connection forces him to comfort the truth his world was built to hide. And in that moment, it's not because of the lost riches, but because the people who truly mattered have moved on. And that's all about. Thank you.